Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Dayspring Discussions. This is a show where you talk about movies, sci-fi, TV, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and today, on this lovely Tuesday afternoon, I am flying solo. That's right. Lisa's at work, Josh is on vacation, so it's just going to be me sitting here talking all things geek for a little while. Hopefully you don't get too bored. I always try to do my best to provide some entertainment and informative programming. If I fall short of that, I do apologize, but hopefully you're going to be entertained by my rants. So let's just get into it, guys. Civil War's over. Now it's time to prepare for the next big summer blockbuster movie coming out, X-Men Apocalypse. That's right. Some of you know this show itself is based off an X-Men pun, so because I'm a big X-Men fan. I'm a huge X-Men fan, actually. So I'm really excited for X-Men Apocalypse, especially since how much I like X-Men Days of Future Past. I just bought my tickets for X-Men Apocalypse, and yeah, I'm super excited for the film. Some early reviews have been coming out that saying the film is kind of less than stellar, actually, but that's mainly because of the quality Days of Future Past was. Some are saying it was being compared to that, it falls short a little bit. One thing I just heard actually on Collider Movie Talk, some of them were saying about Jennifer Lawrence's role, kind of mailing it in on this time. Like they could tell maybe she's a little sick of playing this character, or maybe a little sick of putting on the blue makeup. I don't know, but either way, I'm still excited for the movie because this is an X-Men movie. Lisa and I sat down the other night and watched the first X-Men movie. That's right, I got to go through all the movies. I don't know if I'm going to watch X3. That's what I'm really debating about. I really, really despise X3 so more than almost any other comic book movie, really. More than Batman and Robin, I hate X3 because I'm just such a big X-Men fan. And that was everything that, was not X-Men, in my opinion. But I'm definitely skipping X-Men Wolverine Origins. But with X3, I might have to watch it just for reviewing purposes. I've also been going through the X-Men animated series, classic 90s animated series. So great. I mean, I still put that as one of my top 5 superhero or comic book animated series. Probably one of my top 5 animated series of all time. It's just great up until about the end of Season 3. After the end of Season 3, it starts to go downhill. But up till the Dark Phoenix saga, it's just great quality programming. If you haven't watched it and you want to watch it and get prepared a little for X-Men Apocalypse, it's on Hulu, so check that out. And a little later, I'm going to talk about another show that is coming out that is getting a reboot that you can also watch the older version on Hulu. But right now, we're sticking with X-Men. So with only, 10 days? Less than that? Very much less than that. Next week, yes, next Thursday. The cast, crew, and everyone from the film is making the rounds, talking to the press and whatnot. So Simon Kinberg, the producer of the film, spoke with Coming Soon at a film junket and kind of confirmed that the next X-Men film is indeed going to be set in the 90s. Now with these last couple X-Men movies, X-Men First Class was set in the 60s, X-Men Days of Future Past was set in the 70s, and X-Men Apocalypse was set in the 80s. So we kind of figured they're, still trying to play catch-up, so they're jumping decades. So this next one will be set in the 90s. Now, Kinberg has not confirmed whether it's actually going to be an X-Men film or a New Mutants or even X-Force film to begin with. Now, X-Men Apocalypse, they said, kind of ends the trilogy that started with First Class with actors Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, and Jennifer Lawrence and all of them, because they only signed a 3-picture deal, although some of them have been expressing interest in returning to the franchise, which I would be super happy with. And some of the newcomers, of course, such as Ty Sheridan, signed on for several films, so they know they're up for it as well. Now, speaking with Bryan Singer in regards to the next X-Men film, he actually kind of was interested in the idea of going interstellar. There are several X-Men storylines, great storylines that involve the X-Men traveling to outer space, such as the rise and fall of the Shi'ar Empire, Black Vortex, which I wasn't really a big fan of, but then, of course, the most infamous storyline of all, the Dark Phoenix saga, which we all love to see that done right, considering X3 totally screwed the pooch on that one. But with Bryan Singer, they talked, and he had this to say, quote, I imagine, and this is the first time I've actually answered the question this way, but another thing that's been introduced in the comics is a big alien, interstellar tenet within the X-Men universe that has not been explored. And to me, that might be kind of fun because I'm a huge Star Wars and Star Trek fan, and exploring the X-Men universe and being able to utilize that would be very exciting. So jumping off of these comments from Kimberg and from Singer, I'll just start with the first one. 90s X-Men, yes, I'm all about it. Perfect, great, love it. The 90s was when the X-Men were at the height of their popularity. X-Men 1 came out by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont, and it crushed it. It's such a beautiful looking book, great story. They continued their run for a while, and it was just just killed it as the X-Men. And then they took that, the blue and gold teams, and they created the animated series, which again I talked about. It's just phenomenal as well. And the 90s, you saw these merchandise coming out, and just the X-Men. The 90s is what the X-Men are all about. So if they're going to do it, I want to see the costumes too, because they got revamped costumes with Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, Storm. They all got different looks to them in the 90s. So I want to see a callback to that as well when they set them up in the 90s for the next film. One thing I am a little worried about, though, is the whole jumping decades, because say with this current cast with Jennifer Lawrence and James McAvoy and all of them, so they've been on 3 films now. X-Men First Class started in 1963, I believe, 1962, something like that. And now we're jumping to 1983 in X-Men Apocalypse. So that's been 20 years, but really it's only been 5 or 6 years in actual real time. So the actors don't look like, or the characters don't look like they've aged 20 years, and that kind of bothers me. So again, you have this new young cast like Ty Sheridan or Sophie Turner who play Scott and Jean, and you're going to jump them ahead 10 years. I don't feel like the actors, yeah, they're older than what their characters are, I'm sure, but to jump them ahead further, I don't like it as much. I'd much rather them, stay closer to it as well, because say you jump to the 90s, well then next of course you got to jump to the 2000s again. That's another 20-year difference. The actor will probably only have aged 5 years in that time. It doesn't fit for me. I don't like it. Not that I don't want to see more X-Men movies, because I would love for them to catch up with Deadpool. Deadpool, X-Men spinoff, set in present day. So I feel like it's kind of one thing they're trying to do as well, is kind of to catch up, really, to Deadpool, so that maybe they can include him in some of the movies. But I think that's actually kind of something they don't need, really. Deadpool is, I think, strong enough they can stand on its own. Of course, I think you still need those X-Men cameos, and that could be great too, because like we saw Colossus in Deadpool, now we can go back to, say, X-Men Apocalypse or the film after that that's set in the 90s, and you can see a very young Colossus, kind of like a prequel. You know where the character is going to end up because we've seen him in present day. So I think that's something that would be really fun to play with in that regard. Now going on to Singer's comments, I'm all about doing the Dark Phoenix Saga and the Phoenix Saga correct. My only worry would be X-Men has been that franchise that, yes, it's a comic book, it's very sci-fi-ish, but it's always tried to keep that one foot on the ground in a little bit sense of reality. So I'd be a little worried about, going that far out. Of course, Guardians of the Galaxy proved that we can go all quirky and that audiences will accept it. One thing referring to Guardians of the Galaxy, I think this would open up too, is if they do go interstellar, Starjammers. Starjammers are 20th Century Fox's Guardians of the Galaxy they have in their back pocket. If you introduce them in an X-Men movie, then you can give them their own spin-off, and there you go, boom, there is 20th Century Fox's Guardians of the Galaxy, just an eclectic crew, much like Guardians of the Galaxy, that is ready to be made. You got Corsair, Cyclops' dad. He's, a space pirate. It's so cool, a space pirate. So that I think that really has a lot of potential. But yeah, I would love to see the Phoenix Saga done right, but I've already seen it done right in the 90s animated series. Again, I highly recommend you check out as well. So I don't need to see it done perfectly. I just want it to be done better than what it was in X3 because that was just atrocious. But of course, too, remember, we're still in the same universe as well. The timeline has been reset. And in X3, we've already established that Jean Grey's Phoenix Force, isn't a space entity that inhabits her body. It's really a multiple personality disorder. And I'm fine with it. If that's kind of where they go with that again, okay, I can do that. Just do it better. That's all I want to see. All right, so sticking with X-Men and Simon Kinberg, they also talked to him about the upcoming Wolverine film. There's no real official title of that except for Wolverine 3 is what it's being called. And right now it's Hugh Jackman's last run as Wolverine. I think we're all a little sad about that. Some of us might be a little less sad than others. But in any event, Kinberg went on to talk about the film, saying, quote, "It's a very radical, bold, different Wolverine than you've ever seen in any of these movies. It takes place in the future, and as you and many have reported, it is an R-rated movie. It's violent, it's kind of like a Western in its tone. It's very cool, very different." Now, the third Wolverine film opens March 3rd, 2017, allegedly. Now, this third Wolverine film is set to be loosely based on the infamous Wolverine storyline, Old Man Logan. I've talked about that storyline before on here. For those of you who don't know, Old Man Logan is kind of a dystopian future where all the heroes are dead. Wolverine has not popped his claws in a long time. He's become a farmer out west. He has a wife and kids, and the Hulklings, or the offspring of Bruce Banner or the Hulk, are shaking him down for money. So he has to go with Hawkeye on this crazy cross-country adventure through, a dystopian America. And along the way, he runs into other supervillains, and he has to fight his way back to his family. Great storyline, but given the fact that there's a lot of characters 20th Century Fox does not have the right to, like Red Skull, the Hulk, Spider-Man, Hawkeye, stuff that were kind of key characters in the original source material, I don't see how I can usually do it justice, but it's just like Captain America Civil War or The Winter Soldier or even Days of Future Past. These are infamous storylines in the comic community, but the movies are really just take the essence of the story, and it's still fun. They're still great films, and I'd be totally okay with them taking the essence of Old Man Logan because they can't do a true interpretation of it, and as long as they get it right, that's perfectly fine with me. There are so many other characters in the X-Men universe that you can use to kind of fill the gaps. I've always said the X-Men universe has always been separate from what's been going on in the normal Marvel Comics universe. So you really don't need to connect the X-Men with all the Marvel Studios films. People want to see Wolverine in an Avengers movie. And yeah, that'd be cool, but the X-Men has their own little pocket, their own little corner of the Marvel universe, and there's so many characters just in that little pocket. You don't need to depend on all the other characters in the Marvel universe for support. You could easily take, characters like, Red Skull that was in that storyline and turn him into Mr. Sinister. Or you could take the Hulk and turn him into like the Blob or something like that. There are characters you can fill in as well that would still serve the purpose of the storyline, which I think would be fine. Now, as far as the R rating, look, Deadpool was a great movie. Loved it. Funny, hilarious, great action, blood, guts, all that jazz. It was so different from every other superhero movie. That's why we liked it so much. It poked fun at the genre. Great. And it has definitely changed the superhero comic book landscape as well. It has proven that these movies can be rated R, but you have to have the quality there, okay? Making Wolverine rated R, I'm fine with, okay? Perfectly fine making it R-rated. Making it rated R is just fine. I'm okay with that. Because I think with this Old Man Logan storyline, what they're trying to base it off of, a rated R would help you expand a little more, help you, again, stay truer to the source material. But one thing Lisa and I have talked about on the show, or Lisa kind of brought it up maybe, I'm not sure who did, is that Wolverine has lived in this PG-13 world for, what, 7 movies now, I think? Now you're going to put him in a rated R storyline. You have kids that have, seen him in that PG-13 world. Now you're going to put him in a rated R storyline. Kids are still going to go see that movie. It's like, can't believe it, how many parents I saw bring their kids to Deadpool not knowing what the hell this movie was all about. And I'm like, it's R-rated. That should have been your first sign. Yeah, it's based on a comic book. Yeah, he's wearing red spandex. But freaking inform yourselves, for God's sakes, okay? I have a 3-year-old daughter. I'm not going to let her watch Deadpool, let alone let her, be in the same room when I'm watching it. I mean, come on. Let's be responsible parents and not just be like, oh, you want to go see this movie? Okay, let's go. No, come on now. Let's think about this, all right? So that's kind of my thing is now people like Wolverine. They know him from the PG-13 world. They want to go see him again in his next movie. That's the only thing that worries me. Me, as an adult, whatever, I'm happy with it. I think it's going to be great. But again, as a parent, I'm not going to let my daughter see this for a while. And I hope that other parents think about that before they just immediately be like, oh, there's a Wolverine movie. Yeah, we'll go see it. Do your research first, people, okay? Be responsible parents. I know some people don't like to be responsible parents, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but let's all just, try to make the kids and not scar them for lives, okay? I feel like I went off on a tangent there. I do apologize, but hell, I even give you this one, guys, okay? So they say, Kinberg said it's like a Western tone, and go see the movie Mad Max Fury Road. If you do not want your child to see that movie, then don't take him to see this newest Wolverine movie that I feel is going to be very similar to cross country, cross the desert, run into a lot of harsh environments, ugly people, stuff like that. So if you don't want to see Fury Road, don't take him to see this new Wolverine film, okay? Just as an FYI. But the guy who's directing this, James Mangold, also directed the last Wolverine film, which the theatrical cut I wasn't a huge fan of. But if you like the character and you're curious, I would definitely check out the Blu-ray unrated. It's much like a lot of other cuts. It's way better. The whole ninja fight sequence that you wanted in the theatrical cut, but instead they just shot him with a bunch of arrows and he fell down. Yeah. They put the whole fight sequence in the Blu-ray unrated cut, and it's awesome, okay? It's the Wolverine film we've been waiting for since we first got Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, okay? So there's your little gift. Take it, go home, and you're welcome. Alright, so staying in 20th Century Fox's world, except for instead of X-Men, we're going to jump over to Fantastic Four. Okay, let's all bow our heads, take a moment of silence for this last film that we hope will forever remain in the ground and dead. Okay, we've all had a moment, right? So Simon Kinberg again, while talking about X-Men Apocalypse, was asked about Fantastic Four. Now this film only made $56 million domestically. It probably cost, what, $200 million to make, if not more. So overall, it was pretty much a big flop for Fox. Now, people have been saying, of course, well, they need to give the Fantastic Four back to Marvel, because they know what to do with them, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, taking that aside for a sec. Kinberg talking about how it seems like Fox isn't quite done with Marvel's first family. He said, quote, "We didn't make a good movie, and the world voted, and I think they probably voted correctly. Mistakes that we learned from, and we wouldn't repeat. We want to make another Fantastic Four movie. We love the cast, I love the comic, and I love it almost as much as the X-Men." He said, quote, "We'll try to be true to the essence of the tone of the Fantastic Four, which is brighter, funnier, and more optimistic. I think we tried to make a darker Fantastic Four movie, which seemed like a radical idea, but we were kind of messing with the DNA of the actual comic instead of trusting the DNA of the comic." So no word has been said yet whether Fox is going to continue with this cast, with this version of the Fantastic Four. Originally, they did have a sequel date set, but after the reception of this latest Fantastic Four movie, they pulled it, and I think they're putting something else in its place, probably an X-Men movie, I'm guessing. I had no problem with the cast. Michael B. Jordan, Miles Teller, Kate Mara. They're great actors and actresses. I think they're fine. But yeah, this movie was. They tried to do a more adult version. It was Ultimate Fantastic Four. If you read Ultimate Fantastic Four, you know that's what it was. I always like to say that very first Fantastic Four film that never made it to theaters. I can't remember who directed it. I know me and my brother bought it on VHS at a Comic-Con convention many years ago. The only thing I really can say about it is it's got the kid from The Boy Who Could Fly, the old 80s movie. He plays the Human Torch, and when he turns to the Human Torch, it's live action. But when he turns to the Human Torch, suddenly he's a cartoon. I mean, it was pretty bad. And the thing was wearing a suit, a rock, prosthetic suit as well. That to me is the original 1960s Fantastic Four, staying very true to that storyline. Now, jumping ahead to, I believe it was 2005, 2006, when director Tim Story did Fantastic Four as well, with Jessica Alba and Chris Evans. They did 2 movies of that. People did not like that as well. Now, that was a much lighter, funnier tone. And I kind of give that interpretation as Heroes Reborn. If you go to the 90s reboot, not really a reboot, but a kind of mini-series, Heroes Reborn, a Fantastic Four that Jim Lee did. It's kind of what that was, I think, kind of jumped off of. And then this newer one was, I think, based on Ultimate Fantastic Four, where they were much younger as well, and they kind of didn't mess with space, but more messed with dimension hopping more than anything else. I have the first Tim Story film, Fantastic Four, on Blu-ray. I still think that is the best version we've gotten of the Fantastic Four. And you know what? Screw me. I still enjoy watching it. I think Chris Evans was such a good Human Torch that when he was cast as Captain America, I thought it was horrible. I thought he was going to be so bad as Captain America because those two characters, he played the Human Torch so well. I didn't think he had the range to do the exact opposite, which was play Captain America. But I will say that is one of the few times where I will bite my tongue, eat my words, whatever, and say I was completely wrong on that casting choice because he does a great Captain America and he did a great Human Torch, okay? If anyone wants to debate me, that first Fantastic Four movies, yeah, it has its flaws. It has, quite a few flaws. But I think it's still fun to watch, and that's why I have it in my Blu-ray collection, and people know how fickle I am about allowing Blu-rays into my collection. I look at Lisa's Twilight movies and I cringe that they're right next to my Star Wars movies. I just cringe at it, okay? But anyway, moving on. So Kinberg says that they haven't given up on Fantastic Four. They're still hoping to make something out of it. You know what I just said? That X-Men has their own pocket of the Marvel Universe, and there's so many characters in it that they don't need to be connected to the rest of the Marvel characters like the Avengers to make it work. I think it's the exact opposite of Fantastic Four because, again, going back to just Marvel storylines and stuff like that, Fantastic Four and the Avengers are involved in a lot of stuff together. Whereas the X-Men, let's take Civil War, for example, okay? A big part of that original Civil War storyline was what happened with the Fantastic Four in that story. Sorry, lost my train of thought there for a sec, guys. But yeah, they're such an integral part of that storyline, and especially what happens between Reed and Sue and their characters, that them and the Avengers, they fit together. They go together very well, I think. So to connect them back to the rest of the Marvel characters like Captain America, Iron Man, I think it would be great. I would love to see Reed Richards interact with Tony Stark and interact with Bruce Banner, because those are like the three, greatest minds in the Marvel Cinematic or Marvel Universe, just the Marvel Universe, Marvel Comics in general. Sorry, guys. I'm losing my train of thought here. I don't know what I'm thinking about, but anyway, I'm going to try to get back on track, right? So, and then some people have said too, well, after Infinity War, or what we're dubbing Infinity War right now, where do you go? Where does the Marvel Cinematic Universe go from there? And one people's idea is Phase 4. Well, guess what? We could have the Fantastic Four for Phase 4. And after you defeat Thanos in Infinity War, where do you go from there? Well, Galactus, hello, yes, a creature that devours worlds. That's pretty much the next step up, I would say. So bringing the Fantastic Four and all their cast of characters would definitely, I think, help expand and add more to the cinematic universe. I'm all about it. Now, is it necessary? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Obviously, Fox, they're doing something wrong with the Fantastic Four. And it goes a lot with a lot of characters, too, where they don't understand the material, okay? I read a lot of Superman comic books, and there's a lot of bad Superman comic books out there because there are people who just don't understand the characters. And I have some friends, one of whom does his own podcast. I'm not going to say what it is, but it rhymes with Bong Bok Beshin. But he criticizes the Fantastic Four, saying they're boring. I disagree. I've read a lot of Fantastic Four, and yes, there have been some bad storylines, but there have also been some really good storylines. And I think, again, like any character, you just have to find the angle. And I feel like Fox just hasn't found their angle with the Fantastic Four. Maybe one of the part of the reasons they should go back to Marvel, because Fox has Marvel writers actually contributing to the storylines and, kind of pre-approving the movies a little bit. At least they did back in the older days. I don't know if they still do it. And if you bring some of those people who have actually written successful Fantastic Four books, I feel like you might get set on the right path with these characters, because they are great characters. Fantastic Four, it has some great stuff out there, and that's what I want to see. But I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. My gut says return to Marvel, because 20th Century Fox has done 4 films now, and only one of them I thought was any good, or even half decent. So I don't know, but to limit themselves like that, it's much like how I don't want X-Men to go back to Marvel, mainly because then that limits the number of movies we get, right? Now, Fox is pumping out, one X-Men movie a year almost, if not 2. Meanwhile, Marvel Studios is pumping out an Avengers and a Captain America movie. They're pumping out 2 movies a year. So if you take the X-Men and bring them back to Marvel, we might only get, 2 superhero movies a year. I know people think the market is getting oversaturated, but as a guy who grew up, thinking I'd never get the day where I had all these comic book movies to choose from, I'm loving it. I am absolutely loving it. So to combine all those characters into one studio means we'll get less movies, and I'm not all about that. But Fox has to do something about Fantastic Four. If they make another bad film, I don't think it'll survive. At this point, I'm not seeing how any movie with Fantastic Four will have the good graces and the public will, want to go see it, because they've been burned so many times before with this franchise. I just don't know how it's going to happen, but we'll just have to wait and see how that develops. Alright guys, so we're going to skip over a little bit, head over to some TV talk, and of course jump over universes to DC Universe. So it was said last week that CBS has canceled Supergirl. However, it has been picked up by the CW. Now, Greg Berlanti, creator and executive producer on the show, also, produces Arrow and Flash and DC's Legend of Tomorrow, which are on the CW as well. So Supergirl is going to come into that. This last season, The Flash, played by Grant Gustin, guest starred in an episode of Supergirl. Now, I haven't seen it. I've only seen one episode of Supergirl, which was the pilot. I don't have cable. I cut my cable cord a long time ago. So I have Hulu, I have Netflix, and I have Amazon, okay? So a lot of my new shows I watch are going to be on Hulu. CBS shows are not on Hulu. NBC is on Hulu, CW is on Hulu, Fox is on Hulu, ABC is on Hulu. For some reason, CBS is the only one that's not there. Now, I know they're going to do their own streaming TV service or whatever as well, but I'm sorry, CBS, you don't have good enough shows that I want to watch for me to pay for that, or to me sit down in front of a computer every day at the CBS website and watch an episode of Supergirl. Sorry, it's not going to happen. So anyway, Supergirl is jumping over to the CW, mainly because of low ratings, is what it said. But what is low ratings for CBS is actually moderate to high ratings for the CW because they're a lesser watched station. So, and I'm completely fine with that. Again, I haven't watched the entire season of Supergirl. I've heard good things, I've heard bad things. When the trailer for this show first premiered, I thought it looked horrible. Actually, I'll just say it looked absolutely horrible. It looked like a bad romantic comedy film mixed in with superheroes or Supergirl or Superman or whatever. And I watched that first pilot episode just to check it out. And again, I was not impressed at all. But usually the pilot is everything they put in the trailer. Like usually when you watch a trailer for a new series, that's pretty much the first episode of the series. So we never went past that to give it a chance. The only thing, there are several things that really intrigued me about it. First off was the guest appearance of The Flash, which I heard was a highlight episode. And second was the appearance of Martian Manhunter. If you take the good things about this show and bring it over to the CW, I can see how it works. Now, no one's quite sure how the show is going to go with the second season. Are they going to keep a lot of the same characters? Are they going to, keep going with current storylines? What's going to happen? I don't know. One thing is that I'm hoping for is that they put this on Hulu. Put the first season on Hulu so I can rewatch it to see if I'm actually going to watch season 2. Okay? Jumping over to CW. CW is on Hulu. Let me watch it on Hulu, and then I'll tell you if I'm excited for this move. But as an overall thing, I can say it's probably good for the series because some of the best episodes are when Arrow and Flash, they cross over. And DC's Legends of Tomorrow, again, I'm not a fan of that series. I watched a couple episodes of that, but I'm not done with that. Really, of those 3 shows, the Flash one is the only one I can say I honestly am excited to watch. The Arrow I still watch, but it's touch and go. There are things I like about it and things I don't like. But the Flash, I'm still very excited to watch every week. Now, adding Supergirl to the mix, it all depends, really. I mean, are they going to keep her own separate reality? Or is she going to join reality with the other heroes? That'd be a little difficult because, like I said, in Supergirl, they mentioned Superman quite a bit. And Superman's not part of the Arrowverse, as I call it. I call it the Arrowverse because the first show of this all was Arrow, and then it spawned off to Flash, and then DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and et cetera, okay? Plus, with the Arrowverse right now, you've stayed within Earth. Arrow started off very realistic, kind of like a Dark Knight feel, where it was, no real superpowers or anything like that. Season 2, they kind of went off with that, introduced some superpowers with the Flash and stuff like that. DC's Legend came along, and now you're messing with time itself as well. And Supergirl would just add that next level to it where we're not on Earth. We're dealing with aliens now, We're going from, reality to superpowered beings to space beings. It's that next level up when it comes to Supergirl. And while I feel it'll be a natural progression, I'm not sure if it's right for the Arrowverse. They had to totally revamp it, Supergirl, to make it fit if they want to incorporate her into the rest of the Arrowverse. Now, one way you could solve that, the same way DC Comics solves all their problems, is a crisis. We all already know that Barry Allen can go through time and space. He's jumped over to other realities, such as Earth 2, or whatever Earth Supergirl is on. You could have a mini crisis on Infinite Earths and kind of mesh Supergirl's world and the Arrowverse together, and when it's all said and done, it's all clean slate and it's all one thing, which it can work. I don't think general audience is ready for that. People who've read comic books, especially DC comic books, will be fine with it, but your general audience who isn't used to something like that, I don't think they're quite ready for that, so I don't think it's the best idea, but it's a way to incorporate Supergirl into the Arrowverse without too much confusion. Now, another TV show that I watched that got the axe was Agent Carter. It had 2 seasons, and according to the Hollywood Reporter, ABC has canceled the series, along with quite a few other series. I hear ABC Studios is going through a couple of changes as far as their executives, so quite a few shows got the axe over there. But also Haley Atwell signed on for a new procedural show called Conviction. And when she signed on for that, some were very sad or, questioning her future with Agent Carter. Now, there's a petition online that wants to bring Agent Carter back. Petitions are stupid, people. I don't know why you sign these stupid petitions. They're just ridiculous, okay? You know what brings shows back? Ratings, okay? You know what? I love the show Young Justice, okay? It got 2 seasons. It was great. And then it got canceled. And since then, there's been that Twitter campaign to bring it back, to give it a Netflix season 3 or whatever. And you know what's going to happen is money, okay? I bought the DVDs, and whenever I leave my house, I put my TV onto Justice League, on Young Justice on Netflix. I turn off the TV, but I make sure my Netflix is still running, and it'll go through a couple episodes before it actually stops. So it makes it look like I'm watching Young Justice more than I actually am. But I've already gone on Twitter and say, if you want Young Justice, buy the DVDs like I did, and leave it on when you're not home like I am as well. That's kind of my contribution as well to try to bring Young Justice back, because these are companies. Companies want to make money, and if they see that something isn't worth making money, then they're not going to bring it back. So with Agent Carter, I guess buy the DVDs when they come out. That'd be the best way to do it. If they see, DVDs are, selling like hotcakes or whatever, they might think about putting it back or put it on Netflix or something. I don't know. But Agent Carter, it wasn't the best show. I'll give you that. Me and Lisa watched it together. We enjoyed it. I like the character of Agent Carter. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe of love interest, she was definitely my favorite. She's a great character, and the Agent Carter TV show has expanded so much on this character, and Haley Atwell does a great job with her. So part of me is sad to see her go. But like I said, the show wasn't exactly top-notch quality. I would love to learn more about Agent Carter, but something tells me we haven't seen the last of her, especially since she keeps on popping up very briefly in almost every Marvel movie. It's not the last we've seen her, so I'm okay with that. But like I said, the character, just in these 2 seasons of this show, has grown so much, and we've got so much with her. And it's kind of nice to see, especially that first season, it was her dealing with the loss of Steve, the post-Captain America First Avenger, what's she going to do now kind of vibe. So while I wouldn't mind seeing a more Agent Carter adventures, I can definitely see them doing shorts with her. That's actually started out with an Agent Carter short before they did the TV series. It's on one of the Marvel Blu-rays. And they do a couple shorts. I think that's great. Again, the TV show helped to get to know the character a little better, which is fine. But again, if it doesn't come back, I'm not going to be too sad about it. But I want Haley Atwell to keep playing the character and keep having her pop up, because she does a great job with it. And like I said, I like the character a lot. Okay, guys, we're going to keep chugging along here. My Starbucks coffee cup is halfway gone, so hopefully I'm halfway through this all. Let's keep going. Sticking with TV, Sci-Fi, or Sci-Fi as some people call it, has ordered a pilot for the show Krypton. Now, this show has allegedly been trying to get made since 2014, and it's basically a storyline about Superman's grandfather on the planet Krypton. It's going to be produced by David S. Goyer, the guy who wrote the Dark Knight trilogy and Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Those last 2 films don't really hold a lot of faith with me. But anyway, it's supposed to be centered around two generations before the planet's destruction and the coming of Kal-El. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay, so great. We get it. It's called Krypton. It's set on Krypton. There's a show called Gotham that features all these Batman characters, these villains, these supporting cast members of the Batman mythology. But you know what it's missing? Batman, okay? This feels a lot like that, okay? Why would I want to watch a Superman show that has no Superman in it? I don't get it. And it's on Sci-Fi, which, Yeah, Sci-Fi's produced a couple of good shows. Battlestar Galactica, which one of those shows that I know is good, and I just have not gotten around to it. I know. Don't hate me for it. I'm gonna try to work it in because I keep hearing people talk about it. I have forever, of course. I'm gonna get into that, but also Being Human, one of my favorite shows. I love that show. If you haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend that show. But yeah, Sci-Fi. Other than that, this is the same series that keeps making Sharknado movies. same station that keeps making Sharknado movies. Why, I have no idea, because I don't know anyone who watches them past the first one. So their quality isn't exactly, you know, good, maybe. But I have yet to see a show on Sci-Fi in a long time that I would want to continue to watch. Now there are a few that I might be willing to check out, but with this one, you got my attention, okay? I'm a Superman fan. It's based off Superman mythology. I'll probably at least watch the pilot, but if that pilot doesn't wow me, you lost me, and I'm just going to put my head down and shake it because I have no idea what the hell Warner Brothers is doing with their DC characters. Aside from the CW shows, or really aside from The Flash, Warner Brothers isn't really thrilling me with what they're doing with their DC properties. I hope it gets better. I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad, mainly because I have faith in David Ayer. I think he's a great director. I liked Fury. That was a good movie. So yeah, I'll come back after Suicide Squad and recollect my thoughts. And if Suicide Squad was not good, I have lost all faith in Warner Brothers and what the hell they're doing with these great characters they keep on ruining. So there's that. Alright guys, so I got a couple more things in the TV realm. Let's see here. Yes, switch back over to Marvel for a little bit. Jessica Jones star Kristen Ritter has confirmed that Jessica Jones Season 2 and The Defenders are actually going to be shot at the same time, or at least she is going to be shooting them at the same time or back to back. The Defenders is the culmination of all the Netflix shows put together: Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones, where they all team up. It's, a TV version of the Avengers. You know how it goes, guys, right? It's the Marvel Universe. If you don't know this by now, get on board, go back, watch the first 2 seasons of Daredevil, Jessica Jones. You'll figure it out, okay? But anyway, Ritter spoke with Digital Spy, confirming, quote, "They'll be back to back. I don't know if they'll overlap a little bit. It's about to be a serious undertaking. I'm starting my physical training, lots of weight and training and boxing." The next Marvel Netflix series to come out is going to be Luke Cage, which drops on September 20th on Netflix. Right now they are also filming Iron Fist, and then they just announced there's going to be a Punisher Netflix series too that spins out of Daredevil Season 2. The Netflix Marvel series I've enjoyed. Daredevil Season 1 was pretty good, not phenomenal. Jessica Jones I thought was a terrific show. The premise itself and the character itself I didn't really grab onto, but the quality of the show I thought was terrific. Great characters, just none that I could really relate to that much. Daredevil Season 2, hot damn, that was great. I mean, I rival that up there with Game of Thrones as one of the best seasons of TV I've ever seen. Just phenomenal filmmaking. And of course, part of it had to do with the John Berthal's Punisher storyline as well. But of course, I also enjoyed the Elektra storyline, and everyone just took it that notch up from Season 1. Like I said, Season 1 was okay of Daredevil, but then it took that notch up in Season 2. They have yet to announce a Season 3 of Daredevil, which, come on, guys. After Season 2, how could you not greenlight a Season 3? I know you got a lot going on with the other series and Punisher and Defenders and stuff like that, but I love the character of Matt Murdock. Daredevil is one of my favorite comic book characters, and I just want to see more of him. Because though some people criticize Charlie Cox as Daredevil, I think he's doing a great job, and I love the series, and I want to see more of it. But yeah, so Christian Ritter filming Jessica Jones and The Defenders at the same time. Great, awesome. That means we're getting close to the point where The Defenders is about to be filmed, which again, I'm super looking forward to. My only hesitation, I guess, is how big is it going to be? Because with the Marvel movies, you had Captain America, Iron Man, Thor. These are big budget films that all came together for another big budget film. And I know with the Netflix series or with TV, you don't have as much money as you would a big blockbuster film. I understand that, but it still has to be enough money to make a good quality. Now, going off these, comparing it to the movies as well, the Avengers, I always said, they fight for the world. They save the world. They fight aliens, and they fight, gods and all this other stuff. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, they fight crime bosses. They're on the streets, okay? They're not worried about saving the world. They're worried about saving the neighborhood. And that's fine, because then when you're not trying to go that big of a scale, you can keep your budget a little farther down, not spend as much money, and be fine with that. I thought Daredevil Season 2, I didn't really see any flaws. I didn't feel like they cheaped out or anything. I thought it was all good. I just want to make sure that the quality of the show is fine. And of course, I think that starts with the budget. So as long as that's in there, I think the actors are more than capable. Although the guy who plays Luke Cage, I'm not totally sold on, nor am I sold on the guy who's going to play Iron Fist. But given that their series haven't come out yet, I could be swayed by the time Defenders come around. I thought Christian Ritter wasn't going to be that good of a Jessica Jones because I just knew her from comedies, but I turned around and I think she's a great character, great Jessica Jones. So I can be turned around on the other guys as well. In any event, I'm excited to see what Netflix has in store for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, so sticking with Netflix, there's another Netflix series that I am totally jazzed for. Coming out June 10th, we have Voltron, Legendary Defender. For those of you who don't know, this is going to be based off the old classic anime series, which ran from September 1984 to 1985. And it follows 5 Earthlings, Keith, Lance, Hunk, and Pidge. And the last one in the original series was named Sven, but I guess they changed his name to Shiro on this. But anyway, they get to planet Eris, where they discover the galactic defender Voltron, and they use this great weapon to defend planet Eris from the evil King Zarkon, and to save the rest of the world from Zarkon as well. New trailer came out for it, and I gotta say, as excited I am to see one of my favorite childhood cartoons back, I'm ecstatic now after seeing this new trailer. It was so good. So good. Okay? I am so on board with this. I am so excited for it. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do, because in the original series you had, like I said, the character Sven. Actually, I believe he got bit or poisoned by the witch, the Zarkon's witch. I can't remember the name of her or whatever. So he had to leave. And so that 5th lion that they needed to form Voltron, Princess Allura, came in, and she took over for him, and she became a regular part of the Voltron force. So I imagine they'll do something like that again, whether it's Shiro that goes, or maybe it could be someone else. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But this trailer was so much fun for me. It was one thing that is great about Voltron, which I'll go ahead and say Power Rangers totally rips off Voltron. That's just how it is. Maybe, yeah, I liked Power Rangers when I was a kid too, but I love Voltron more. I'll go ahead and say that. But it's a deep mythology. It's a great story. And it looks like they're going to have great characters in this as well. Now, in the original 1980 series, they were, I believe, adults who were actually space explorers or, space pilots. Here it looks like they're part of a space training program where they're just some teenagers, which is fine. I know you got to appeal to the kids. I'm totally okay with that. But that first joke in the trailer when they were like, "Could someone tell me what these kids did wrong?" It's like, "The engineer puked in the console." Boom. I laughed at that. I thought it was hilarious. Totally set the tone for what these characters are going to be like. But you're going to take these characters that are, very different, I hope. 5 personalities, you need them all to be different to get the dynamic in there. And you're going to bring them together as a unit, bring them together Voltron. They're people or characters who are not really seen as heroes, but then they become heroes, go through the hero's journey. I just can't wait for it. Again, I know if you didn't watch the Voltron series, you're probably not excited about it, or if you're over the age of 10, you might not be excited about it. I watched the trailer last night on the big TV, and my wife was just like, whatever. And me, I'm just like, yeah, whatever, yeah. But so some people don't get it. It's good sci-fi, okay? If you enjoy a good sci-fi story, I highly recommend checking it out. All the episodes are going to be available on Netflix June 10th. It was awesome. I can't wait for it. Okay, guys, a couple more stories here before I wrap it all up. Warner Brothers has released a statement saying that they are actually delaying the release of Godzilla 2 from June 8th, 2018 to March 22nd, 2019. But with that, they also said that they're actually moving up the film Godzilla vs. Kong to May 29th, 2020. Now, several days later, it was announced that Gareth Edwards, who was set to direct Godzilla 2, he directed the latest Godzilla film, has actually left the sequel. According to Deadline, Edwards wants to focus on smaller project after he finishes his current one, which is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And Legendary Pictures says they're fine with it. They parted, on good terms and all that jazz. So Godzilla has lost its director, but again, they're moving up Godzilla versus Kong. Now, allegedly, they were waiting to do Godzilla 2 for Edwards to finish up Rogue One. With this piece of information, who's to say they're like, okay, we don't have to wait for him anymore. Let's get started on Godzilla 2. But it says here they pushed it back as well. So obviously they were banking on Edwards quite a bit. So now they have to rethink their strategy. Are we going to see Godzilla versus Kong before we see Godzilla 2? I don't think so, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. Honestly, I wasn't a big fan of the last Godzilla film. I thought, much like other Transformers films, I guess you could say, you show a lot more of the humans than you do the main attraction, okay? I know these creatures are not easy to make. I know it costs a pretty penny every time they're on screen, but the film was called Godzilla, and if you added up all the time that Godzilla was actually on screen, probably maybe, 5 minutes of the entire movie? 10 minutes maybe? That ain't cool. Now, the last part of it was cool. The last part where he battled the actual monsters, that was cool. That should have been half the film there, but they didn't do that way. When a movie says Godzilla vs. Kong, I better see a lot of fighting, is all I'm going to say. Now, I enjoyed the last King Kong film by Peter Jackson. Some people say, yeah, it was too long, but I thought it was just fine. I enjoyed it. I'm waiting to see how Skull Island is to judge how excited I am for Godzilla vs. Kong, because like I said, I wasn't really a fan of this latest Godzilla movie, but if Skull Island is good and it sets it up for the next Godzilla vs. Kong, I might get a little more excited, but we'll just have to wait and see. Gareth Edwards, I wish him all the well. I'd much rather him focus on Rogue One and make that movie good than part his attention to focus on a Godzilla movie, so he's half in Godzilla, half in Star Wars. No, son. Your Star Wars movie needs to be good, okay? This is the first Star Wars anthology film that's not an episode film, okay? It needs to be good, so don't worry about anything else. You worry about Rogue One, okay? Don't worry about it. Godzilla, someone else will take that reign, okay? Don't worry about it. Alright, so, next, speaking of Star Wars, it is said that star Lupita Nyong'o has actually joined the cast of the film Black Panther, the Marvel Studios film coming out, and also, Michael B. Jordan has joined the cast as well. Now, Nyong'o is in negotiations to play T'Challa's love interest, though no name has been revealed yet at this time. And then Jordan is said to be a possible villain in the film too. Now, Michael B. Jordan is no stranger to working with director Ryan Coogler as they worked together in Fruitvale Station and last year's Creed. Kind of becoming a DiCaprio Scorsese thing, I feel like, working with each other so many times. But Lupita Nyong'o, great actress, won an Academy Award for 12 Years a Slave, which she totally deserved. She was great in Star Wars The Force Awakens as Maz, which I hope we see her again. And then, of course, she was in this voice casting in the latest Jungle Book, which she did a fine job as well. Great actress, totally on board with this. And, of course, Michael B. Jordan. I've been singing his praise since Friday Night Lights, okay? Friday Night Lights, one of my favorite TV series of all time, like in my top 3. Totally down with Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, Fantastic Four was a dud, but let's switch over to Marvel Studios from 20th Century Fox and see how the big boys do things, okay? You'll see how it's really done. So these 2 casting choices, I'm totally just ecstatic about, especially after seeing Captain America Civil War, seeing how Chadwick Boseman carried the Black Panther. He's going to carry this movie. Totally on board with this. Cannot wait. Black Panther is scheduled to arrive February 16th, 2018. Staying in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Kevin Feige went out and talked some more Inhumans. Now, the Inhumans were supposed to be slated, I believe it was for the end of Phase 3, which is the phase that Captain America Civil War just started. It was supposed to be released 2018, and then they pushed it back, and then it's pretty much just canceled at this point from what I know. Well, not really canceled, but Feige went out and said that they still have it on the back burner. It's just that they've moved a few things into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, such as Spider-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp, that they couldn't really fit Inhumans. Now, the Inhuman characters are featured prevalently on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now, the television series. Some people say that might have a little thing to do with it, how it might convolute, whatever. It murks up the water, is what it does, as far as featuring them in films as well. Whatever. Inhumans, they're just a knockoff, honestly, of X-Men. I mean, that's what Marvel Comics is trying to do with them right now, right? If you read the current storyline in comics right now, there's the Terrigen Mist that gives the Inhumans their powers, also is killing mutants, okay? So what Marvel Comics is doing is, because Marvel doesn't have the rights to make X-Men movies, they're trying to downplay the X-Men and upplay the Inhumans. I'm sorry. The X-Men have been popular for way longer than Inhumans. You go out on the street, someone can tell you, who Wolverine is. There's no way they're going to be able to tell you who the hell Black Bolt is, okay? That's just the way it is. Inhumans, I wouldn't mind seeing a movie, of course. It's Kevin Feige, it's Marvel Studios. I totally trust them. But if I don't see an Inhumans movie within the next 5 to 6 years, I'll be okay with it. Because you know what? There's a lot more stuff that Marvel Studios can do and a lot more characters they can use as well. If you want to start incorporating some TV series into the films, Daredevil, okay? Let's work in those Netflix series, okay? Give it a little more edge, right? The next film Marvel Studios is set to come out with is Doctor Strange. Comes out November 4th, which, again, I'm not a big Doctor Strange fan. I like the character. I think it's going to be something totally different for the cinematic universe, much like Guardians of the Galaxy was. So I'm hopeful about it. Benedict Cumberbatch, great cast. Totally okay with this. Going back to Inhumans, whatever. We'll see. Okay, so for those of you who are still with me, this is going to be my last story for the day. I thought about talking about a little Game of Thrones, but I'm running out of time here. So I'll just go on and say that if you haven't watched the latest episode of Game of Thrones, one of my favorite scenes ever in the series, well, definitely my favorite episode of the season so far. I've been waiting for years for the Stark siblings to reunite, and that scene where Jon and Sansa hug each other, so much emotion in that scene. It was phenomenal. I loved it, as well as everything else in Castle Black. So that's all I'm going to say about Game of Thrones. If you want to talk more Game of Thrones, hit me up on social media or anywhere online. I'll be glad to talk your ear off about it, okay? But the last story I got is going to be the Assassin's Creed trailer that dropped. Dropped last week on Jimmy Kimmel, and it's based off the video game Assassin's Creed. Now, in the film, Michael Fassbender plays Callum Lynch. Callum, is that what it says? Yes, I think that's how you say the first name. Anyway, he is experiencing adventures of his ancestor Aguilar in the 15th century Spain during the Spanish Inquisition. Now, Callum discovers he is a descendant from a mysterious secret society, the Assassins, and amasses incredible knowledge and skills it takes on the oppressive and powerful Templar organization in the present day. The film is being directed by Justin Kurzel, who directed Fassbender in Macbeth. Also stars Marion Cotillard, who is from The Dark Knight Rises, Jeremy Irons, Brendan Gleeson, and Michael K. Williams. The film is set to come out sometime. I didn't see a release date. Anyway, so... Okay. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. I'm a big fan of the sword and sandal genre, okay? Braveheart, one of my favorite movies ever. I like Troy. I like the King Arthur movie with Clive Owen and Keira Knightley. Obviously, I like Game of Thrones. So when I heard they were coming out with Assassin's Creed, I've never played the game before. I'm not a gamer, but the storyline always intrigued me because of the style of it, and it looked really cool. What they're doing with this film, I don't get. Okay? Not to mention they put this Kanye song in there. Ugh. Oh, man. If it was just a straight up old 15th century Spanish film with Michael Fassbender in it, I can see it how it would be good, but it wouldn't appeal to a mass audience. I get it. I would love to see that film where it's just in the 15th century. But I know you gotta take and you gotta appeal to the masses, okay? You gotta put your Kanye song in your trailer. You gotta make it kind of cool with, having some 1 foot in the present day or whatever. And it gives them a whole like sci-fi slant and stuff like that. I'm not saying it doesn't look like the film's gonna be completely horrible, but just based off this trailer alone, I'm not excited for it, okay? The premise can work, and it could be okay. But just based off this trailer, I'm not really down with it right now. The video game movie genre is banking off this and Warcraft to kind of give it a resurgence. Much like how comic books and superheroes are in the now, people are hoping that video games can have that kind of popularity, and the upcoming Warcraft movie and Assassin's Creed are said to be kind of the tent poles or the starting cars for that. Warcraft, I think, does not look good. I may be wrong. I haven't seen any reviews about it yet. I've never played Warcraft, of course, too, so it looks like just a bad version of Lord of the Rings. So that I don't think is going to restart the genre. Assassin's Creed, it's Michael Fassbender. I'm a big fan of Michael Fassbender. I haven't seen Macbeth yet, so I don't know the director very well. I don't know. This movie has some hope, but I'm not hopeful about it. I'll have to see more of it, of course, but I don't know. You tell me, okay? Are you excited for this film? Please tell me, okay? I want to hear from you. And speaking of which, I've been doing these polls and stuff the last couple weeks on the social media to get more interaction with people. And a couple weeks ago, we asked a Game of Thrones question where we were like, okay, who do you guys want to see kill Ramsay Bolton on Game of Thrones? I got a few responses, of course. Theon and Sansa were probably the top choices. Jon Snow was up there. Last week, I asked, after seeing Civil War, how would you rate it in the Marvel Cinematic Films, and to give me your list of Marvel Cinematic Films. A couple of you gave me your lists. A couple of you showed your disdain for quite a few Marvel films, actually, which is fine. We're all entitled to our own opinions. So for this week, I'm kind of going to go a different direction yet with this one. I haven't figured it out yet, though. So keep an eye on social media. I'll pop up. I'll, bring up a question, and I'll get back to you next week with how that went. Okay? So that's it, guys. That's all I've got. Sorry if I wasn't entertaining. Obviously, if you're still listening, you are somewhat interested in what I had to say, and hopefully I tried to make it as informative as possible. Without another person here, I just don't feel like the repertoire is as good. The banter, I enjoy that. I would have started a podcast a long time ago if it was just myself, but I don't like people that sit there and just talk and talk and talk. I'm not a fan of that. I like the banter as well. So when I do these shows by myself, I don't prefer them, but I also like to vent and get all this out and talk about all this stuff. So I do what I have to. Hopefully next week, Josh or Lisa will be here. And I'm going to try to get a few other people that I know are into, geek stuff here to talk as well, so that I don't have to sit here and talk just into a microphone by myself for an hour plus, hopefully boring you to tears. But anyway, if you stuck with me, I appreciate it, guys. We'll be back next week with hopefully a better show. Until then, may the Force be with us all.